It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Ajay Duseja sir. Professor Duseja sir is in the Department of Hepatology at Postgraduate Institute of Medical Education and Research, Chandigarh. Sir has several research awards to his credit, such as the Dhamvi Datta Memorial Oration Award by the Indian Council of Medical Research, the ISG Alchem Om Prakash Memorial Award, Indian Society of Gastroenterology, the SR Naik Memorial Award, Indian Society of Gastroenterology, the ISG Zydus Oration Award, Indian Society of Gastroenterology. So it is extensively published, has more than 250 publications in reputed journals and 25 chapters in books. Sir's research interests include NAFLD, ACLF, viral hepatitis, and hepatocellular carcinoma. Of the series of national webinars that we've been holding, his technical expertise in the area has gone a long way in educating participants and in improving the implementation of these operational guidelines, I'm sure. I welcome you, sir, once again, and over to you, sir, for the plenary session on evidence on association of NAFLD with other non-communicable diseases. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Manya. Let me first share my screen. So at the very outset, my sincere thanks to Team ILBS and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare for giving me this opportunity to be part of this ongoing series on fatty liver disease. And today are my special thanks because you have connected me to my alma mater, IGMC Shimla. And I'm so happy to, see familiar faces, my old colleagues and my friends, Professor Patania, Professor Brit Sharma, Professor Anmol Gupta, Dr. Rajesh, Dr. Gopal Chauhan. I think I'm so lucky to see them all today. Thank you, Team ILBS, for that. So job I have been, given today is to talk about the evidence on the association of NAFLD with other, non-communicable diseases. Uh, I think you heard till now is that fatty liver disease or NAFLD is a spectrum. When we say spectrum, that patients can have just fat in the liver and a percentage of them, around 15-20 of them, would progress on to a stage called NASH or non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, where in addition to fat, you tend to have inflammation and fibrosis. And once you have NASH, your propensity to develop cirrhosis and liver cancer obviously goes up. But having said that, I mean, it's not only liver disease. It's part and parcel of, a metabolic milieu or a part and parcel of, metabolic syndrome. And there are so many, extrahepatic associations which happen with the NAFLD. And the important ones are, the non-communicable diseases like, obesity, diabetes, hypertension, dyslipidemia. And other than that, you also heard that it is associated with, cardiovascular diseases, chronic kidney disease, not only liver malignancy, but extrahepatic malignancies, PCOS or polycystic ovarian, disease, osteoporosis, and, whatnot. So, I mean, this is because of the kind of, metabolic milieu these patients have, the inflammatory milieu, which Professor Sareen alluded to, that NAFLD is associated with a lot of, extrahepatic diseases. So what I'll be doing today would be, giving you some scientific evidence of association of NAFLD with important non-communicable diseases, namely obesity, diabetes, hypertension, dyslipidemia, and I will be showing you that the NAFLD is related to these metabolic, risk factors in a bidirectional way. When I say bidirectional, it means that patients with metabolic syndrome or metabolic risk factors, they have increased risk of having fatty liver disease. But on the other hand, if somebody starts with only fatty liver and no metabolic risk factors, over a period of long term, that particular patient is at a risk of developing all the metabolic complications, may it be hypertension, may it be diabetes, may it be full-blown metabolic syndrome. So I'll show you that, and this is what we call the bidirectional link. And then I would also show you some data that the metabolic syndrome or metabolic risk factors not only increase the prevalence of fatty liver disease, but they also increase the severity of fatty liver disease. And when I say severity, as I told you that the fatty liver has a spectrum. So patients with metabolic syndrome, they have high chances of having the severe form of fatty liver disease, which is NASH, NASH with fibrosis, cirrhosis, liver cancer. So everything goes up if you have these metabolic, risk factors. And finally, as I said, I'll be showing you some data about, the association of NAFLD with cardiovascular disease, chronic kidney disease, and some of the extrahepatic malignancies, which is now coming up in a big way. And mind it, when I'll be showing you this data, this is all happening independent of metabolic risk factors. Fatty liver per se is putting you at a risk of having cardiovascular disease, chronic kidney disease, malignancies. I think these are all independent of metabolic risk factors. So let me start with the that what is the data we have that the fatty liver is related to metabolic risk factors. So I have picked up maybe one or two studies to show you. This is one of the largest studies, so called the Rotterdam study, which had around 3,000 participants. And if you look at this, 1/3 of them had fatty liver, 35%. And when they looked at that what is causing fatty liver in these individuals, and if you look at carefully here, they are nothing but they were all metabolic risk factors. Waist circumference, which is nothing but central obesity. If you are centrally obese, you are at a 5 times higher risk of having fatty liver disease. If you have diabetes or dysglycemia, you are at a 2 times having the risk of fatty liver disease. Similarly, if you have hypertension, 2 times the risk. And if you have abnormal lipids, maybe 1.5 times the risk of having fatty liver disease. So if you have these metabolic risk factors, obviously your risk of having, fatty liver disease goes up. This is our own data at PGI Chandigarh. We screened around, 1,000 blood donors coming to the Institute for Blood Donation. And we did their, anthropometry, their lipid profile, liver functions, and simultaneously we also did their ultrasound abdomen. And to our surprise, what we found was that 53% of them, which means every second person, had evidence of NAFLD. We excluded alcohol. And when we looked at that, what were the risk factors in them? How it's so common. They were nothing, but they were all full of metabolic risk factors. Just to show you here, other than the age, it was the BMI, waist circumference, blood pressure, cholesterol, and metabolic syndrome. They were all, determining the occurrence of such a high prevalence of, fatty liver in patients, those who are visiting us. Now let's go on to the other area, which I said. The second area is that what is the prevalence of NAFLD in patients with, metabolic syndrome? These kind of patients, the patients with metabolic syndrome, especially those with diabetes or obesity or full-blown metabolic syndrome, probably will go more to, I would say, internal medicine, or would go more to maybe diabetologist or endocrinologist or maybe cardiologist, right? So suppose they go there and somebody looks at, that what is the prevalence of, fatty liver in them. So I'll just pick up again one very old study, but a large study. There are always indications of doing bariatric surgery in patients, those who what we have severe obesity, or what we call them as morbid obesity, and the cutoffs taken are close to BMI of 40 and above, or 35 if you have any comorbidities. So this was one of the earlier studies which was done by Professor Zubair Yunusi's group from Fairfax, US, and what they found was that out of 212 patients, those who were subjected to bariatric surgery, and they took liver biopsies at the time of surgeries in them, 93% of them had fatty liver. This is just to give you a figure that as your body weight goes up, your chances of having fat in the liver, that will continue to increase. So if you are obese, and if you're severely obese, I think it is almost 100% that you would have fat in the liver. And the same is true for maybe diabetes, maybe little lesser. This is Indian data again down south from Dr. V. Mohan's group from Chennai. And they looked at their population, and 1/3 of them had fatty liver. And when they divided them into those with diabetes and without diabetes, look at this. Diabetics had 55% of them, had fatty liver. In contrast to those with normoglycemia, only 22% of them had fatty liver. So again, if you are diabetes, I think your chances of having fatty liver disease goes up. But then having said that, if your number of components of metabolic syndrome keep increasing, which means that if you're obese also, you are diabetic, you are hypertensive and dyslipidemic, your chances of having fatty liver disease will further go up. Not only the chances of having fatty liver disease will go up, your severity of fatty liver disease will also go up, and I'll show you some data on that. So finally, I have picked up this, very large meta-analysis again from Zubair Yunusi's group. I told you, you heard since, last few minutes or hours, the global prevalence of fatty liver disease is close to, 25%. And that was one of the, well-quoted meta-analysis again by Professor Zubair Yunusi. So he also did a similar kind of meta-analysis in diabetics. So this is 80 studies from 20 countries, 50,000 patients with, type 2 diabetes. And look at the prevalence of, fatty liver disease in them, 55%, which is, almost double the usual prevalence, what we call in general population, which is 25%. So 55% was the population in diabetics. Then if you have a full-blown metabolic syndrome, as I said, it's only the one component, that only diabetes, only, obesity. If you have, 3 or more metabolic risk factors, what we call by ATP3 criteria as metabolic syndrome, this is one study from, Punjab, where they just very simple study, they looked at fatty liver on ultrasound in those with metabolic syndrome, 73%. Without metabolic syndrome, 38%. And this is one of the, again, a very large meta-analysis from Europe. And again, they had, 19 studies in adults and maybe around 9-10 in children. And the message I want to give is that if you have metabolic syndrome, 75% of them had fatty liver, in contrast to 17 or 18% without metabolic syndrome. I think so. The message is that if you have metabolic syndrome, or if you have any component of metabolic syndrome, your risk of having fatty liver disease, keeps going up exponentially. More the components, more are the chances of having, fatty liver disease. Now let's look at it from another angle, that what is the prevalence of, metabolic syndrome in patients with fatty liver disease. These kind of patients would come to us, hepatologists or gastroenterologists, because, fatty liver disease is usually detected incidentally while, being worked up for, rise in transaminases, or maybe during executive checkup. Now the patient has a report of, ultrasound report of fatty liver, or a report of elevated liver enzymes, and he or she has come to your clinic, and now you want to look at, what are the components of metabolic syndrome in them. Again, because of the paucity of time, I'm not showing you very large data, but this is, one of our ongoing studies in India. We call it as Indian Consortium on Non-Alcoholic Fatty Liver Disease, or ICON-D, and we are 40 centers in India who are participating in this real-life data collection, and I'm happy to tell you that IGMC Shimla and Professor Brit Sharma is part of that study. And this is the interim analysis which we did, few months back, and we presented this in our Asia Pacific meeting. So out of around 4,000 patients, we had this anthropometry data which was available in around 3,500 people. So the message I want to give is that, again, if you look at, but for around 10-11% patient, those who had normal BMI, so-called lean NAFLD, rest 90% were all overweight or obese. Rather, 73% of them were obese by the Asia Pacific criteria. And the metabolic syndrome was present in 43%, but when we looked at that, at least one metabolic risk factor was present in 93% of these patients, which is a huge number, which means almost everybody has one or the other metabolic risk factor. And when we looked at that, what was the commonest metabolic risk factor? It was the central obesity, which was present in around 83 to 84% of these patients. Now coming to the third aspect, which I said, that you have a patient who is starting with fatty liver and no metabolic risk factors. So what will happen to them on long term? I think this again was alluded to by Professor Sareen, that this is again one of the well-quoted studies where patients had fatty liver with elevated liver enzymes, And if you look at them in the beginning, and they had a mean follow-up of around 13 years. So in the beginning, only 8.5% of them had type 2 diabetes. But at the end of follow-up, which is, as I said, mean follow-up of 13 years, 78% of them either had frank diabetes or maybe impaired glucose tolerance, which tells you that over a period of time, fatty liver disease is putting you at a risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And again, bringing out to the same point that diabetes today or type 2 diabetes today is considered as a liver disease rather than a pancreatic disease. Again, there's a lot of data. I think the time doesn't permit me to get into all these details, but there's so many studies which have shown that you start with NAFLD and then over a period of time, you are at a risk of developing so-called the incident, type 2 diabetes. Similar kind of data is available for NAFLD and the development of incidental hypertension. And the similar kind of data is available that you start with NAFLD, not only type 2 diabetes, but maybe you are at a 2 times higher risk of developing full-blown metabolic syndrome. And this is, a very large, again, systematic review and meta-analysis with around 81,000, participants over a period of 5 years, around 2 times risk of developing, metabolic syndrome if you start with fatty liver disease. Now coming to the last aspect that which I said in the beginning, that if you have these metabolic risk factors, not only your chances of, having fatty liver disease goes up, but your chances of having severe fatty liver disease goes up. And what is the severe fatty liver disease? NASH. NASH with fibrosis, cirrhosis, liver cancer. So all this goes up. So what is the data or the evidence for that? Again, I'm showing you the same study by Zubair Yunusi's group, where they, picked up the obese people, those who are undergoing bariatric surgery. I showed you that all those, when they did the liver biopsy, 93% of them had fatty liver. But let's go further and see how many had NASH. 26% of them have, NASH, which is much higher than, in the general population, the prevalence of NASH would be only 3 to 5%, which is the severe form of fatty liver disease. It is 26% here in severe obese people. And advanced fibrosis, which is F3 or F4 fibrosis, is 9% to 10%. I think that is again a huge number. Similarly, if you look at the diabetics, I showed you this data again earlier, that diabetics had 55% had fatty liver, but then again the NASH was in 37%, which is again very high, and the advanced fibrosis was in 17%, again very high. Again, I think there are lots of data which is available, many studies. Again, the time doesn't permit me, but the message again is that if you have these metabolic risk factors, may it be diabetes, obesity, hypertension, high HDL, hypertension, any of these metabolic risk factors, your risk of having so-called what we call progressive NASH. So within the fatty liver disease, there are people, those who can progress fast. So they are the fast progressors. So these metabolic risk factors would determine that who's going to progress, fast. And this is, a very nice study, which is again from Baylor College of Medicine by Dr. Fasia Kanwal's group, where they have very nicely shown that if you have diabetes, obesity, hypertension, and dyslipidemia, your chances of having HCC is, 6 times within the patients of, NAFLD. And your risk of having cirrhosis is again around 2.5 times. So within NAFLD, your risk of having cirrhosis, your risk of having HCC, goes exponentially high if you have these metabolic risk factors. I think I'll probably not spend time on that. What is the pathophysiological link between the two? Maybe we can discuss this during the discussion part, that how, this bidirectional link is happening, that how the patients with NAFLD are at an increased risk of having diabetes and metabolic syndrome, and how the patients with metabolic syndrome are at an increased risk of, having fatty liver disease. But it ultimately boils down to, the insulin resistance, which is happening at multiple levels. In patients with overweight or obesity, the insulin resistance at adipose tissue level is increasing, the increased delivery of free fatty acids to the liver, And in the liver, it is causing what we call the de novo lipogenesis, or increased synthesis of fat in the liver. And the increased delivery of free fatty acids is also happening from the diet. And once you have, increased fat in the liver, that causes what we call the hepatic insulin resistance. And the insulin is not able to inhibit the glucose production in the liver, is not able to inhibit the glycogenolysis, is not able to inhibit the glycogen synthesis. And that ultimately leads on to hyperglycemia, hyperinsulinemia, and all its consequences of diabetes, vascular disease, and whatnot. So as I said, we can have more discussion on this in the discussion part. And finally, these are my last few slides where I'll be showing you some data on the again evidence of NAFLD with cardiovascular disease, chronic kidney disease, and some of the malignancies. Again, I think if there are some residents there or some postgraduates there, let me tell you that we obviously, as I said, the NAFLD no doubt is a liver disease. But as I said in the beginning, it's part and parcel of the metabolic milieu, which means that you have, inflammatory milieu, you have, the oxidative stress, you have the kind of, metabolic risk factors these patients have. So the most common cause of death in patients with NAFLD is not liver disease. The most common cause of death in these patients is cardiovascular disease. The second most common cause of death in these patients is malignancy. And the liver disease, comes at number 3 as a cause of death in patients with, NAFLD. So what kind of cardiac involvement can happen in patients with NAFLD? Again, I think it's a topic by itself. But in short, I will tell you that you can have both anatomical involvement and you can have both physiological involvement. When I say anatomical involvement, it means that you are at a higher risk of having atherosclerosis, coronary artery calcification, coronary artery disease, aortic valve sclerosis. There's deposition of fat in the myocardium. There's deposition of fat in the epicardium, and that can lead on to even the problems of cardiac arrhythmias, prolonged QTc interval, atrial fibrillation, normal ejection fraction, cardiac failure, diastolic dysfunction, systolic dysfunction. I think if Professor principal sir is there, I think Professor Patania, he would knowing, I think, the relationship between all this, I think. And as I said, all these things are happening independent of metabolic risk factors. And in short, I would just like to tell you that, I mean, again, this one meta-analysis where people looked at the fatal and the non-fatal cardiovascular events in patients with fatty liver disease. And if you look at this, I think both fatal and the non-fatal, cardiovascular events were much higher in patients with, NAFLD in comparison to the general population. And the same is true for chronic kidney disease. This is again one meta-analysis I picked up, 33 studies, 63,000 participants. And if you have NAFLD, you are at a risk of having chronic kidney disease, maybe 2 times higher risk in comparison to those who do not have fatty liver disease. And the risk is more if within the NAFLD, if you have NASH or if you have advanced fibrosis, your risk of having chronic kidney disease further goes up. And this is our own data where we screened around 100 patients of our fatty liver disease for their renal functions by calculating their eGFR and also looking at the microproteinuria and the macroproteinuria. And what we found was that 1/3 of these patients had impaired renal function. And again, when we looked at the determinants, I think the severity of liver disease turned out to be one of the important determinants for causing the impairment in renal functions. Finally, coming to the malignancies, I think no doubt that the fatty liver disease is an important cause of liver cancer or HCC over a period of time. This is a recent data that we have shown that NASH as an etiology of HCC is going up, and in our practice now NASH is responsible for around 20% of our patients with liver cancer. But this is one meta-analysis again I have picked up, again very large number of studies and very large number of participants and a follow-up of around 6 years. And when they looked at various extrahepatic cancers other than liver cancer, patients with NAFLD were 1.5 times at a higher risk of having various GI malignancies like esophagus, stomach, pancreas, and colorectal cancer, and also at a risk of having lung, breast, and gynecological and urinary tract malignancies. But all this is preventable, that if you take care of metabolic risk factors, you can prevent the liver disease, you can prevent the cardiovascular disease in all these patients. So let me summarize, ladies and gentlemen, what I said in last 20-30 minutes is that NAFLD is associated with a lot of extrahepatic diseases, but the important ones are these non-communicable diseases, which are, a major chunk of, obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and dyslipidemia. I showed you some data that there is a bidirectional link between the two, which means that patients uh, there's increased risk of having fatty liver disease in those with metabolic syndrome or its individual components. But on the other hand, if you start with only fatty liver and no metabolic risk factors, over a period of time, you are at a higher risk of developing, various metabolic complications, including diabetes and full-blown metabolic syndrome. Metabolic risk factors also increase the severity of fatty liver disease, which means that you are not only at a risk of having high incidence of or prevalence of fatty liver disease, but at a higher risk of having NASH, which is a severe form of fatty liver disease, NASH with fibrosis, cirrhosis, and liver cancer if you have these metabolic risk factors. And then I also showed you some data on the relationship of NAFLD with cardiovascular disease, chronic kidney disease, and malignancies. But then the good news is that all this is preventable. If you take care of metabolic risk factors, you can not only prevent the liver disease, but you can also prevent the extrahepatic diseases. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and I'll stop sharing my screen here. Thank you very much.